Brooke, why do so many high performers only realize their nervous system is breaking after they have already hit emotional burnout? And why are we so damn good at ignoring the early signs?
Well, because typically, in my experience, and probably is when in reading my bio, I have over 20 years psychology, behavioral science, human design, all of that. And everyone seems to have the same pattern. So, what we'll do is we start making decisions out of fear, those fear based decisions. And that fear could be fear of failure, of embarrassment, a fear of success, all the things, right? And so we start making decisions from our head and we start pushing down any type of clue or intuitive hit that our body is giving us because we're so in our mind. We're overthinking. A lot of people that when they're at that point, they'll speak it. They'll say, I have to figure this out. I'm so stuck. They'll say things that will tell you they're so in their head. And that's what they're thinking about. Well, when that process happens, the only way to keep moving, right? And that's what we've been taught. Take massive action, right? Make it happen, push, enforce that masculine frequency, which has nothing to do with gender. I wish they'd call it something else, but that's what it is. And that is that whole, yes, let's do this, let's go. And we've been there for years and years and years. And so when we have that thought in our head that says the only way to be successful is to push through the pain, right? We've no pain, no gain, all those crazy little things we tell ourselves. And so as we do that, week after week, after year, we shut down anything that our body is trying to tell us. And we're living completely in our head. And so finally, what happens then, our body just says, enough. We can't take it anymore. You have pushed me so far that I can't. It happened to me. I got COVID and shingles at the same time, which will a lot of time people, they'll end up in the hospital. Or speaking from a human design perspective, 70% of the world are generators and manifesting generators. And we do functional burnout like no other because we're just going and we have this energy and let's move and we're not paying attention at all. So a lot of the work that we do is to get people aligned again, their mind and body aligned. So yes, I'm not saying don't think, don't take action, none of that. I'm also saying slow down long enough so that you can begin to hear what your body is telling you, because we have our own best success strategy right inside of us. It's us. It's not the outside experts. It's not anyone but us, right? Our own internal compass, our own internal GPS system that tells us what decisions we should make, where we should go, who we should be with, the career we should have, all of those things. It supports the mind. Our body tells us first. Our mind figures out the solution and we take action. But so many of us are just here and we're making all the decisions from a fear based. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I've come to believe, and I could be wrong here, who knows, that most people's fuel is either pain or fear. I think they're very powerful fuel, which you might need at the beginning. It's almost like when you're launching a rocket. You need that strong fuel to get you into orbit, but after that, you don't need to use it anymore. But I feel that sometimes we don't even know what using other types of fuel looks like. And as you said, I think that most people are very intellectual. They're very much in their head rather than into their body, in the nervous system. And we were chatting a little bit before, off cameras before we start recording. And I told you that this conversation couldn't have come at a better time because I feel emotional depleted. And somebody who's been very intuitive, that also understands the body at a deeper level, has like emotional understanding and all of that. I've proud myself of just understanding how to be more within alignment, or to be okay. Okay, I'm not going to push this hard now. I'm going to rest. I'm going to do other things. But one thing that I didn't notice, and I think that's something that it is affecting a lot of people because it is hard to wrap our head around it. We're talking about the emotional battery, the mental battery, and the physical battery. When you're drained on the mental and physical, then you can take a weekend off. You can go to the beach and you can rest. And after that, after a good night's sleep, a good walk, then you're good to go. Emotional battery, though, is just so much harder to detect and so much harder um, to recharge. And I think I have like a two-part question before I then jump into later on into the story. One is, how can people recharge their emotional battery? Question one. And the second one is, what happens inside a person when their mind is still pushing forward? As you said, we're so much in our head based on societal expectations that go hard, push hard, like David Goggins type of thing, or even any kind of other successful entrepreneur that, well, if you rest, the competition is outrunning you, but their nervous system is quietly falling apart. What
Yeah.
happens inside that person in that moment?
So there's a few things. One is I that is such a common what do I want to say? A common strategy that many men trainers give, right? Don't rest. So many times, especially I work with entrepreneurs, I work with business owners, and it's, well, I'm going to work hard now, grind it out now, just till I get to this point, and then I'll be able to relax and enjoy it later. Well, later never comes because the way that you start it is the way that you end it. And so emotional depletion, the only way to build back up that energy is to slow down. Now, here's the key. That sounds like death to many people out there that have been grinding it out for years. And so many of the people that come to me, they have a particular level of success and they're terrified to slow down. Because just like what you said, if I slow down, I'm going to lose it all. If I slow down, it'll start to crumble. Well, no, if you slow down, because what happens is when we slow down and calm our nervous system, there's a few different ways to calm your nervous system. Yoga Nidra is a fabulous way to calm your nervous breath work. Just the 4-box breath, 4 in, hold for 4, right? Then if you go out for 8, hold for 4, back. If you do that 5 times, it's almost like this calming salve on your nervous system. Or if you think about it from a computer, it's like you're shutting off all of those programs to give it a rest. And then what happens because when our nervous system is, all over the place and you're emotionally depleted, yeah, you might think you're moving in the right direction. You might think that you're getting traction from all of this action. I can't slow down. When the reality of it is, instead of going from point A to point B, okay, so here's my starting point. At A, B is my vision, and I'm moving to get there. You're actually all over the place. You might even be going in the opposite direction before you come back. But when you allow your body and your nervous system time to relax, for your emotions to settle, because never make a decision in heightened emotions, whether it's good or bad, you allow your emotions to settle, then you can see clearly and you can take a step forward instead of maybe a step backwards or a step to the side when your nervous system and you're making those decisions out of fear. Not to say that a decision made out of fear never works out. Sometimes it does. Most of the time it doesn't. But even when it does, it doesn't work out as well as it could have if you made an aligned decision. So before we got on this, we ran your human design and you're a projector. You're a mental projector. And
Which means
what that means, I'm just going to talk about 2 things because human design is crazy. So what that means is you are not meant, as a projector, you're not meant to work 8 hours straight. You're not. I have 2 children that are projectors. You're meant to work in bursts, 3-4 hours tops, and then you rest. And that probably is very scary to you because I would imagine you work longer than that. However, what you'll notice when that happens, and my daughter is a professional soccer player, my son is a pilot, Taylor Swift is a projector. So I'm not saying you can't be successful and you can't work hard, but you have to listen to your body. And when you know it's a right decision, you're getting invited in. Someone is saying something to you. There is a circumstance that happens and you get obsessed with it. You're like, that is it. I love this. That feeds your energy. When you're doing things, when you're tired and your body is saying slow down, you're never going to be able to do as much as when you're charged. A projector can get as much done in 3 hours as any one of the other four types in 8. A projector is wise. Like, you can see things. You can look at the world and see where there's inefficiencies. You can look at things and say, that's where there's a waste of energy there, there, and there. The downside of a projector is a lot of times they can't see themselves. So it doesn't surprise me that you ask, how do I know? How do I know how? Because it's very easy for you to see what's going on with someone else. It can be difficult to see yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that resonate with you?
Kind of a little bit. Okay, so let me see how I have so many thoughts. Let me see if I can start from the get go. Number one, I know that I'm not as efficient when I'm trying to work 7, 8 hours, but it's almost like we're being ingrained into, well, you have to sit in front of a computer for this time. And I waste so much time and I multitask and I change from one thing to another. It's been challenging for me to do deep work. Now, when it comes to understanding ourselves or seeing ourselves and seeing others, it's always been easier for me to just see patterns and understand people at a deeper level. And I've done that for myself as well. And I'll probably gonna bring a story about how I got to this point. So I think some people might feel related to it and how this weird burst of energy comes every now and then, and why I was caught up in a cycle that led me to either further emotional draining because I was I was mistaking different type of fuels. So how I got to this point around February 2022, I started falling into deep depression. I was just waking up every single day, just deep sadness. And whenever I was driving to work or going somewhere, the only thing I wanted to do was to turn around, drive back home, lock myself in the bathroom, and cry. It was like very, very much. I couldn't understand why, even though I'm very introspective. At that point, I was married and I was trying to seek help. I sought help. And in the middle of all of that, my marriage started falling apart. To by the beginning of 2023, it completely fell apart. From February 2022 until probably July of last year, 2024, we're talking about roughly 2.5 years, my fuel was pain and grief. I remember that my coping, it was never alcohol, was never weed, it was never any of that. To me, I was running and working out. That was helped me to keep me afloat. But then January of 2024, I went all in because my life had turned upside down. I said, what do I want to do with my life? Used to be a financial analyst. Say, I'm going to do the podcast because intuition led me to this point. So I launched it in beginning of 2024. I went all in. And by the time the pain as fuel ran out, the other fuel began to fear because I'm all in. I need to make this happen. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself if after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I have nothing to show for. I lose all my savings. And then all this project, these ideas that I had comes to nowhere. Until October of this year, I was using that fuel. But to add on top of it, this year I took the biggest risks financially, emotionally. I put myself out there and I had a 2 year run of the inner transformation that I'm a totally different person now from 2 years ago, even 6 months ago. And it got to a point where I just couldn't push anymore. I think that my body needed more integration rather than transformation. But I'm so curious that I keep digging all wounds, all things, just because I don't do it from a sense of inadequacy. I do it from a point of view of curiosity. And I try to do something, and I will wake up every single morning in the last month, and I don't have energy. I don't have motivation. I cannot even go to the gym or running. That used to be my coping when I was deeply depressed. That's when I realized, oh crap, I'm very depleted. And yesterday, actually, out of all days, I was having a conversation with my sister. She's 9 years younger than me, and we're having an argument that we have had in the past, just like different points of view. And within 10 minutes, I got so triggered. I felt like almost crying. It's like, okay, I need to hang out because something's going on here. And I realized this is how low your battery is. Later that evening, I talked to this lady, this woman that goes to my Toastmasters club. And I had an incredible conversation about the mindset, the neuroscience, all I mean, conversations that really light me up. And for a moment, I felt energized. So I caught on myself in the cycle. Is oh, that's why when I have these conversations, whether on the podcast or conversations with friends that energize me, then I don't feel I need to slow down or I need to take a break, because that fuel that might come from alignment or from resonance or however you want to call it is short burst, but it gives me a full sense of refuel, and then goes back to crash, and it's wash, rinse, repeat. So it was like a long story, but that's how I sort of figured out, crap, I really need to do something because I cannot keep going.
Yeah. So let me back it up. So I'm going to start from, I took a few notes on this. Bursts of energy, that is exactly what if we speak our designs, that's what every project, when you have those bursts of energy, that is when your body is saying, yes, let's go. This is good. However, what you're doing is, it sounds like you're taking that burst of energy and you're pushing it too far. Once your body will say, okay, awesome, we did that. Now it's time to rest. And then we can jump back into it. You're ignoring that and you're just keeping it going because of that initial burst. That's one of the things that I heard. The other thing with that is, when you had said I started the podcast because my intuition told me, I would imagine you saw, this is how I can be successful in alignment. I can stop pushing so hard. And then that little voice in your unconscious came in. Oh shit, but what if it doesn't work? I took all this risk. All of that started coming back up. And so that starts to deplete you, because as a projector, what feeds your energy source is those bursts of energy, things that you should be. Projectors aren't really made for tedious admin work. They're really more of a big picture. So if that resonates with you, when you're doing all that computer work and the things you should be doing, that's probably when you feel the most depleted, because it's not necessary. And I'm not to say that all of us have to do some things we don't want to do. However, there are the things that are part of. So there's this thing that I'm so lit up about, right? I'm passionate about this. It's that burst of energy. I know I want to do it. I'm obsessed with this. And I know I have to do a few different things over here to help me to move this forward. That's fine. We all have to do that. But you can't keep grinding out on something that is not part of the obsession. That is not part of what excites you and makes you feel lit up and alive. Because the thing that's so beautiful about human design, I've been an executive coach for over 24 years. I've just integrated human design into it probably about 5 years now. What it helps you to understand is, at your time of birth, how the planet, everyone think, oh, it's so woo-woo. It's all about neutrinos. Neutrinos, China spends $100 million a year studying neutrinos. It is physics. It is real science. At the time of your birth, neutrinos, the way the planets are aligned, they organize your DNA. So it helps you to understand, okay, here's how I was born to show up, what my natural gifts are, the challenges I'm going to experience, things that are going to slow me down, the best way that I communicate, how to listen to my body best. So it gives an immediate awareness to someone to say, okay, I'm not there because life happened. I had trauma, I had divorce, I had depression, which all puts, I call it armor around us that covers up those natural gifts and genius and our own inner guru and intuition. So the goal is to peel those away, but at least you have a starting point. So for the biggest thing I would say for you, and what human design does, is it gives you a way to know when you are on the right path, when you're in alignment, when you feel success, when you feel that obsession, that lit up about something. That is a good indication that that is the way to move. Now, if you feel bitterness, right? If you're like angry about it, you feel bitter, that is an indication you're on the wrong path. And that's okay because you can learn from that. So, and there's many other things we can talk about that. But what I teach clients is, one, understand your type. You're a projector. You need to be. And so have you ever experienced, you're talking and you know this, but you see it, you see the answers. You have an innate inner wisdom about you on the way that things should be done more efficiently, the way that energy should be used. And you'll tell someone and they may not listen, or you feel not heard. But yet maybe the next day, the next hour, someone else says something very similar to that person. And they're like, oh yeah, I get it. Like, what? I just told you that. Like, how did that not? That's because with a projector, someone needs to ask for your advice. Someone needs to ask for your opinion. Someone needs to involve you in a project. There was some invitation for this podcast. And you're like, yes, that's it. So the key for a projector is ask really great questions as you're doing, because that gets people to invite you in, to ask you the questions, to share your wisdom, and then it lands and it hits those conversations, those types of situations that feed your energy, that lights you up, that really invigorates you. And that's how you get rid of the emotional depletion. So the success and bitterness are like road signs on your journey through life. If you're feeling successful, you are on the right path. Don't let anyone tell you different. Don't do, well, this is what they say I should do. No, you're feeling, your body is telling you, I'm going the right way. If you start feeling bitter, right, and that is your body saying, okay, we need to make some adjustments. So I will tell people prior to making a decision, I'm not talking about like what you're going to have for dinner, but a bigger decision, pay attention to how it felt before you made the decision. What did that success feel like in your body? Once the decision is made and the outcome happens, whether it's the outcome you wanted or not, check in with your body again. Am I still feeling that same feeling of success and obsession over this? Or am I feeling bitterness? Am I feeling that depression? Am I feeling depleted? If you're feeling depleted, okay, then I'm going to just pivot. There's no right or wrong. Just take imperfect action. Don't get too caught up in it, because you think very linearly. You think in systems. You have a very logical way that your mind works. So give it, but when it is caught in that loop, which that's what depression is, you're caught in a trauma loop that is depressing your body. It's not who you are, it's what your body is experiencing in that moment. And so your job is to do nothing more than to pay attention to what excites you. Pay attention to those feelings. Does that help?
Yes, to some extent, in a sense that the moment that I start once again a couple of years ago when I asked myself, what do I really want to do in my life, which I never asked myself truly, and I sat with it, and the podcast came to mind, and then a year after that, public speaking and coaching came to mind as well. The moment that I start feeling that intuition, I start paying attention. Um, I start paying more attention to my body and to feel, okay, where's the excitement, or which that's what I would call success based on your definitions. Like once I feel that nudge, like okay, this is it, we should go this route. And life has taught me that when I follow my intuition, I've discovered talents that I didn't know I had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all there. We all have these inner gifts. Everyone on this planet has unlimited capability. It's just on whether we're awake to it or not, whether we're
Yes.
tapping into it or not. No one is more intelligent than anyone else. No one has more capability. They have different life experiences. They are more aware than some others. That's it. That's why we can change our life on a dime. Like immediately, you can change whatever circumstance you're in, you can change that. And it's all about getting back to you.
Which I have done, and sort of, by myself, kind of like without coaching or without anybody. I pulled myself out of the hole, and I kept pushing forward. And I realized that when I have conversations on the podcast, that lights me up. When I give speeches at a Toastmaster club, that lights me up because I'm sharing things with others, either through sharing wisdom or getting curious about understanding concepts or understanding people, and coaching as well. But I do believe that, especially when it comes to my emotional depletion, that I even feel it now. It got to a point that truly, Brooke, I felt 6 weeks ago for every single week. It's like I don't want to do anything anymore. Not the podcast, not the speaking, not the coaching, like nothing. I just don't have the. It's not that I don't care anymore. It's just that I have no capacity. But on the flip side, okay, if I stop, I don't know what to do. I mean, it's like I know that I'm not going to stop, and I know that this comes from a place of true depletion, to a point that I think in a couple of weeks I'm just gonna
So
go.
let me back up. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't you
yeah.
stop? Why
Huh?
not stop? Why not
I
stop?
mean, meaning what I mean is stop. Okay, let me rephrase that. By stopping, meaning it's like I'm not gonna do that anymore. It's that's what I meant by I'm not gonna stop, in terms of I'm not gonna abandon fully this, because I think this is the alignment. This is aligned. But what I should do, which I'm sort of doing it, I'm keeping the podcast running with the coaching, content creation, and speaking, and putting it in, on the back burner,
Yep.
because I'm trying to have these 2 months to trying to figure it out, how to recharge. And I'm not somebody who goes like into retreats or vacations or any of that. I've never been that kind of guy. But I was thinking, listening to my body, I realized that when I was searching Airbnbs around the woods and just being nature, I just felt like this strong pull, like, yeah, we freaking need that. Can you just give us that? So in 2 weeks, I'll do that and see if I can recharge. But just going back even to the conversation, how can people even see it? I do feel, and this is also coming from a personal experience, that most people don't realize that they're operating from a deregulated nervous system, because it feels normal to them. It feels normal to me. For I ran this for 4 years, if not longer, but it's hard to tell the difference. So how can somebody tell the difference between true drive, which I guess I had it with the podcast, with the speaking, that was true drive alignment, but also the fuel was fear to some extent. So how can I tell the difference between true drive versus a trauma based or survival based drive?
So for you, so there's a couple things that came out of that. For you, if you're feeling successful and energized, you're on the right path. If you're not, then it's fear-based. So my recommendation to you, if I were coaching you, you just told me what the solution is. You already know it. You just don't want to do it. You need to stop. So if I were coaching you, I would say until January 1st, you need to do at the most 3 hours of work a day, and that is it. If you can do less, if you could step away from everything, if you have the financial means to do that, that's what I would tell you to do, and get in nature. You just answered the question. You don't even need me for that. Get in nature. Listen to yourself. See what comes up. See what you're invited in. There's something that's called a profile in human design. You're a 3-5 profile. What that means is you learn through trial and error. That's the only way you learn, is trial experiencing and trial and error. And then the 5 is you're a born leader, coach, speaker. You don't even need to know human design. You already told me that. But you have depleted yourself so much that even your natural gifts feel like too much right now. But you are,
Yet,
so in my opinion, I would, for you to make a decision in this state right now about doing anything is going to deplete you more. The only decision, in my opinion, you need to make is you have got to take as much of a break as possible. Not as much of a break as you feel comfortable, because it's not going to feel comfortable for you. You need to, and I had to do this myself. I did not work for a month. I have a whole company with a team. You know what? Guess what happened? The team thrived. I came back so energized with so many ideas. We did more business than we had ever done before. And it was amazing. And now when I came back, I probably work 3 to 4 hours a day. That's it. The rest of the time, I paint, I walk in nature, I do yoga, I'm with my family, and it's recharging me. And then when I come back to it the next day, I am on fire. And the things I come up with, amazing. And I've never been happier in my life. That's been my journey for the last 2.5 years.
okay, so here's how I feel about it, and I understand I need to change my mindset around it. I can take time off, so to speak, if I'm with people. If I'm by myself, I'm like, and I don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, it's not that I'm afraid of being with my own thoughts, because I drive in silence. I do a lot of introspection. Do a lot of thinking, which is kind of like my natural being. But if I feel unproductive, that I'm not doing absolutely anything, even if I'm just sitting on the couch or outside, I'm like, I start getting a little bit of stress. Also, I do have the financial means, technically speaking, to, because what I'm building is not generating anything at this point. I'm doing a little bit of freelancing, which is not bringing much. I'm relying on savings that I knew that this was going to happen, because I took bold action, and I went all in. So technically speaking, I'm safe, and yet it stresses me out. It terrifies me to just keep seeing that number going down, down, even though rationally and consciously I'm aware that that can, shift, overnight, by just, as you said, that you took a month off, or a week off, a month off, whatever, and then you guys did more business than ever before, because now you have your creative juices back, and you have more ideas. So I understand that. I just need to push past through it, and yeah,
You
it's
need to switch
something.
yeah, you
Mhm.
need to switch your perspective, because you're right. It's so funny. You're giving all the answers. You said maybe I need to change my perspective. 100%. Because your perspective is, if I am not working hard, then I can't be successful. Wrong.
Yeah,
That's not true.
the narrative I used for so long, at least since I went all in with the podcast, which is extremely lonely, what I'm trying to build, and I don't have family here and any of that. I feel, many times, like, I guess with this emotional depletion, what I felt is I'm tired of carrying this load by myself all this time, and hopefully that feeling will change once I recharge. But the narrative I had in my head for so long was, okay, the chances of me succeeding in podcasting or speaking are low, because there's so much competition. I need to do my best effort to give me a real shot at succeeding. If not, everything will come down, and it's all going to be uh, is not going, it's all going to be useless basically. So that was like already already creating this narrative that it's going to be already hard, and if you want to even have a shot, you might as well put all the work. And by the way, we don't even know if that is going to turn out into something positive,
Mhm.
but you have to at least try it. And I think that is a fear-based narrative, obviously. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, because a few things that stood out. If I do all of this, it's going to be useless. Never, especially with your design, you're always learning. Even and I'm sure you would agree with this. Probably some of your best lessons you've ever had in your whole life came from your quote unquote failures.
I mean, I mean, well, I guess the biggest transformation or the biggest insights of myself and all of it came from probably my biggest failure, which was the divorce. Even though it wasn't a
Right?
failure, it was just something that came to an end.
Yeah.
And I knew that in hindsight that needed to happen. This transformation would have never happened if I stayed in that
Yeah.
relationship, just because it wasn't going to push me to a point of question everything in my life and just really understand myself at a deeper level. So I get it. Still
Yeah.
not fun
There's no
though.
failures. There are no failures. We're either winning or we're learning. That's it.
I
Winning
guess
or
true.
learning. That's all we're doing as long as you're awake and you're slowing down enough to pick up the lessons. Otherwise, the universe, God, whatever you believe in,
Yeah.
is just going to keep smacking you in the face with the same challenges because you didn't learn the lesson, because you weren't slowing down enough to see the lesson that was there. You also said something, it's going to be hard. Why does it have to be hard?
And it's funny, as somebody who is obsessed with neuroscience, I know that by me telling myself that it's going to be hard, my brain's okay. Let me show you
It's
proof
going to
that
be
it's going to be
hard.
hard. Yeah, I know. So
Exactly.
I'm hyper aware, and that's why I've been changing the narrative. Right? It's like, okay, it doesn't have to be hard. It's not. Also, if you're within alignment, this is something that I discovered just fairly recent. If you're within alignment and you bring your nervous system with you in terms of that you create a perception of safety, a lot of the hard things feel effortless because you don't have any blockages from even your nervous system. So that's something also I'm
If
working
you're
on the
in
side.
alignment, nothing's hard. It's just it's fueling you. It's feeding you. When things are hard, that is another clue you're out of alignment. Or that's another
um
clue that that's something you need to delegate to someone else.
it's funny because I have this perfect example, which I don't know if it's based on perspective, and this is for people that could on, and this might help people to understand, like, oh, why is it easy for me to do this hard thing, but this easy thing is hard? And to me, when it comes to preparing for a podcast, when it comes to having the conversations, when it comes to coaching others, whether it's paid or not, when it comes to giving speeches, it feels effortless. I just love and enjoy that. Even I built a 40-minute keynote and I presented in front of 5 friends, and I've never done that ever before. I start training or even being involved into public speaking 9 months ago. And the growth has been exponential. That's another thing. Like, oh, I didn't know I had this talent coming from somebody who started for 20 plus years, who was socially anxious, shy, introverted, all of that. And I built this keynote and I felt almost effortless. Yeah, I had to prepare, I had to rehearse. But there are two key things in my business, or or three things that feel hard. And I think it comes down to how I'm perceiving them. For instance, if I'm doing outreach to companies to pitch this, it feels like it's hard for me. It takes a lot of emotional toll. Maybe because I'm coming from a place of, if you say no, that means I'm not good enough. The same thing when I create content for social media, which I'm trying to get better at it. When it doesn't turn out well, I feel that even though I shouldn't attach the outcome to my self worth, emotionally it happens that way. So I could give you a 40-minute keynote, way easier than I can create 1 minute video for TikTok on Instagram, because I think it's the mindset around it. With my keynote, I'm giving you something because I think it's so cool and how it's going to change your life. But with outreach, content creation, like I hope that you see me and see how valuable I am or something like that.
Well, yes, and so yes, as a projector, you typically have a proving type of energy, right? You want to prove your value and all of that. And the other thing is, you're not designed to chase, you're designed to attract. That's also why it doesn't feel right. Yes, the things you said are true, and there are reasons why for that. You're not designed, you're designed to attract. So you're designed to attract in people that align with your vision and can support you to get there. So one of the things, and you would say, when I'm not with people, I'm depleted. Well, there's something in human design called hanging gates. And what that means, in which you have a lot of them in your chart. And what that means is you need another person to complete that, to give you the energy to be able to do it. So I would say, if you like being out in nature and walking, join a freaking walking club. If you like it can be so many, and then you'll get invited into so many things. You'll have someone will ask you a question, you'll get this, and the ideas will start flowing. You're not one to be isolated. It doesn't. That's probably why when you're on the podcast and you're talking to someone, oh, you like that piece of it. But when you have to sit and be by yourself and do all of that, it feels like a drain. That's the reason why.
Yeah, well, so a couple of things that you said were very interesting. I I never liked the chasing at all, and with anything, it just and to me, I tend to be true to myself. Like, and people, and it's funny because society makes you think to some extent, and that's their projection of their own insecurities. That if you don't chase, that means that you feel that you're not gonna get it, or something along those lines, and you have to chase. And to me, it's like I just don't. It's not my thing. I could never put myself into the chasing mode. So to me, so okay, what pieces can I move that would attract what I want, what I need, rather than me trying to quote unquote begging, which is not begging, obviously, and
You
when it
need
comes
to
to
be
converse, yeah,
unapologetically you all the time. That's what's
that
going to, which is scary as shit. I get it. It is. And that's what's going to attract people to you. That's what's going to get you seen. That's what's going to get people asking for your wisdom, inviting you into circumstances, situations, conversations, businesses, all the things. Everything about you, you need to just own it. You don't need to heal yourself. You need to remember who you are. That's it.
well, honestly, I think that I have already done it in a sense that for many years, yeah, I couldn't fit in with a lot of people growing up, and I'm always been a very curious person, like deep, and I want to ask a bunch of questions. Funny enough, everyone makes fun of me, whether I was in middle school or nowadays when I'm 34, that my go-to phrase is I have a question, because I have a tons of questions, because that's how, if I ask you too many questions, that means that I'm asking myself even more questions, because that feeds my curiosity. But to me, I felt like weird. I felt like, okay, that I was ashamed of what it turned out to be my gift, that curiosity, which allowed me to be. I live in depth. Depth is feels natural to me. I know that for a lot of people, they can only do it in burst, because then it might deplete them. But since last year, especially, the podcast has helped me a lot in terms of discovering that, because I could have deep conversation for hours with people, random people that I've never, or strangers that I would never had interaction with, and it were very enjoyable. And the moment I start leaning more into who I am, like, okay, some people might like me. Some people might think that I'm too much, because was my thing. Like, okay, I'm probably too much. I'm too intense. Let me dim my light. Let me just be less of me, because I want to connect so badly that it's not that I'm going to pretend to be someone who I'm not, but instead of operating at 100% authenticity, let me just dim it to 50%. Maybe people feel comfortable around me, and I've learned to, well, that doesn't work, because you're betraying yourself. So
Well, and not even that, but especially with your profile, yes, you're supposed to be a teacher. You're supposed to help people, teach them through your experiences, all of that. but your people, not the masses. You are not a mass influencer. You are here to influence your people. So when you're dimming your light, you're attracting in people that may not align with you. It could be good conversations, maybe not, but you're not getting that type of energy that you need. You have to never, never dim your light, because there will be people. And that's the thing. You have a line 5. I have a line 5. We don't like not being liked at all. It's not, we want to be liked. And everything that you had just said in the last probably 5 minutes was exactly that. And that's something that it's normal. It's nothing to feel bad about. And you've got to overcome it. You have to get the mindset of, I'm going to be unapologetically me, and I trust that my people will find me. But that's the only way they're going to find you. If you dim your light, they're not going to find you. It's like if you were walking in a cave and you only had your light on a little bit, not many people could find you. But if you were shining bright, you would be found.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and I would add or probably say that at least for me, I've only wanted to be liked by people that I feel that I like them personally. If because I know that if I write right from the get go, I don't like someone rubs me the wrong way. I was like, yeah, I don't care whether you like me or not at all. I just don't care. But those people that are, hey, I think that he's cool or she's cool, or I think we can have a cool conversation, and they don't like you for whatever reason. That is not on you. That's not on them. That's just even two nervous systems that don't click, perhaps. Then I've been able to just overcome that narrative. Like, hey, I'm not perfect, obviously. I still not 100%, but every single time I've been more unapologetic myself, and some people might like it, and some people might not. I'm like, okay, the more you lean into that, the better your life will be. But I just want to, and this is, I take this as a blessing that I found my own alignment and my purpose, because that's something that I forgot to mention. For 32 years of my life, I never had like a clear vision of what I wanted to do. I was never one of those kids that I want to be a doctor or a banker or engineer. I never had a clarity, a direction. And I think that depression was a perfect storm of several things. Lack of clarity in direction was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And after I went through the pain of life turning upside down, which I think it was meant to happen anyway for me to walk on this path, I feel blessed because of that. But I feel that a lot of people operate from a force rather than alignment. And you often talk about it. It's like a shifting from that force to alignment. But
Yep.
what is the first mindset shift that someone needs to make to stop pushing and start designing? Because I don't think people are aware of how to do that, or even that is whether that is possible or not.
The first mindset shift is success, true success that's going to fulfill you and allow you to live your purpose, to be your purpose, should never be hard. Yes, you're going to, even if you work a lot, it's going to be lighting you up. You're going to feel that excitement. So the number one shift I believe is success can be easy. Success and fulfillment can live together. So many people believe that it's okay if I'm unhappy right now because I just need to work hard and I'll get there. No, happiness brings success, not the other way around. Success does not bring happiness. Happiness brings success.
Hmm. That's interesting because I was playing with an idea a few months ago about happiness, because I think, and this is, I'm going on a tangent, but I don't know. It's the first thought it came to mind, that to me happiness is more a feeling rather than an emotion. An emotion would be sadness or joy or peace, and so those are the emotions. Feelings are the meaning we give to it. We give to it, like, okay, heartbroken, or yeah, heartbreak is not it's not emotion, it's a feeling, and the emotion might be sadness. So to me, it's like, what if happiness is not truly an emotion but a feeling that is both? It could be either joy, or peace. So you feel joy when you do things that are within alignment, and you feel peace when your inner world is quiet. So I think if we combine those two, if we do things that are within our alignment, that lights us up, that can that can help us, or that energizes us, but also at the same time we have healed the parts of us that create a lot of noise, then we can create sustainable happiness based on how our external world, our alignment, and the work we do matches our inner world, the peace that we have. So it was kind of an interesting idea I was
Yeah,
playing around
totally.
with.
I love that because success
Yeah.
is an inside job. It comes from in here. It's not an external thing that we're chasing. So yeah, I agree with you.
Which leads me to, sadly, my kind of final question because again I had so many different questions, and I definitely have to bring you back because there's so much to explore here. But based on your previous answer in terms of the mindset shift, the mindset shift that has to happen to go from force to alignment, I think that a lot of that resistance, or that clash comes from a nervous system that doesn't feel safe or hasn't experienced
Absolutely.
safety. How do you rebuild internal safety when your nervous system hasn't felt safe in years?
Well, that's the key is the way to make the nervous system feel safe are to do so it's meditation, it's journaling. Journaling puts your brain in the same state as meditation. It's yoga nidra, which is a type of meditation. It's a guided, it's breath work, right? It is walking in nature. So things that it's not forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do. It is not overworking when your body is telling you to slow down. I mean, how many times have you sat at a desk and all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I have had to use the restroom for the past 2 hours and I didn't even pay attention to it. So many, we're just overriding our body every moment. That is how your nervous system is just, it's so great. You've got to calm it. Yeah, just like if you have a rash on your skin, it's all irritating and itching, we put a salve on it, right? It's those things that I talked about. That is a salve that is calming for your nervous system. And it has to happen. We should do it every day. First thing, we should do it if we're really in it during the day, in the evening, like really that has to be, it needs to be in your calendar, just like your most important client is in your calendar, because that is your number one success strategy. Calming your nervous system so you can hear what your body is trying to tell you, so you can hear your own internal strategy, because that's what we all want.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I think that a lot of people is, I think they're struggling because of, they don't understand, which I'm blessed. I don't know if my curiosity, my insights, how I talk to people, I don't know that I know this now, but understanding that once you have a deeper understanding of how your body works, how the nervous system works, how the emotions, how the all of it works, then it gives you more agency. It gives you more power over your life and over the reality you're experiencing. So I think for a lot of people, if they can allow safety within their own body, then things become effortless and they flow rather than pushback. But yeah, Brooke, you're incredible, and I really enjoyed the conversation. Sadly, I feel like I could just go for 2 3 hours easily without. By the way, something that you said about going to the restroom, I can sit with somebody for 5 hours to talk. I drink a lot of water. I can sit down for 5 hours, not drink a drip. Like of water, anything at all. I'm so dialing in the conversation. I'm in the present moment, which I guess that's why I enjoyed it so much. So yeah, I enjoy this a lot. But where can people find you, work with you, take that assessment of the human design,
Yeah,
anything?
human design. So it's brookemdukes.com. We have many free assessments. We have the human design, we have leadership, sales, culture, you name it. We also do free consultation, and we created a club called the Success by Design Club. And what we've done is, in my previous business, we worked with billion-dollar companies and billion-dollar CEOs. We've taken that intellectual property and we've brought it to individuals, entrepreneurs, small businesses. And so we created the Success by Design Club because, believe it or not, most people right now, especially in America, feel exactly how you're feeling. They're emotionally depleted. They don't know what to do. They're like, what is that? And that's why we created the club. It's $47 a month, and the first month is free so that you can speak to like-minded people. You get, a 90-minute call, 1 to 2 90-minute calls, depending upon which tier you purchase, where we're doing roundtables, hot seats, just like what we did with you right now. We do on those, and we train on all the various ways to be able to really create success and fulfillment, to change that perspective, to be able to slow down and create more success than you ever thought was possible.
Oh, awesome. That's great. I'll add all of those to the video, YouTube description, and show notes. And this episode was quite different from every other episode I've recorded, and this conversation different. I went a little bit more personal with the intention of, okay, hopefully people can hear the story, even though I don't share much about myself, and understand themselves better by relating to it. Because, as you said, a lot of people in America feel this way, but they don't understand why they feel this way. They don't have the language or the knowledge around it. It's like they feel that there might be something wrong with them, or they are broken, or they are lazy, or they don't have enough motivation, or they don't have what it takes to be successful or to push in life, without understanding that something inside needs to rebalance. And it's not as hard as you think, but you need to understand why it happens for you. Once you gain clarity, oh, I know what to do then now. So hopefully, I don't know, this was a gamble, the way that I took this conversation, but I truly appreciate your insights.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.